The courtroom was unusually quiet that morning. Judge Sophia Harper, a seasoned jurist with over 2 decades of experience, took her seat behind the imposing wooden bench. Her face was calm and composed, a look she had perfected over the years. She was known for her fairness, wisdom, and dedication to justice, but nothing could have prepared her for the life-changing revelation that was about to unfold. This particular case involved a custody battle over a young boy named Liam, who had been placed in foster care after his biological parents' rights were terminated due to neglect and abuse. Liam, just 8 years old, had already endured more pain in his short life than most people experience in a lifetime. Despite his hardships, he was a bright and kind-hearted child with an infectious smile. The hearing was supposed to be routine, determining whether Liam's current foster family could adopt him. His foster parents, the Walkers, were a loving couple in their early 40s who had cared for Liam for the past year. They had grown deeply attached to him, and he to them. Everyone in the courtroom expected this to be a straightforward proceeding. Judge Harper scanned the room, her sharp eyes taking in the lawyers, social workers, and the Walkers. Then her gaze landed on Liam. He sat quietly at the table, his legs swinging slightly as they didn't quite reach the floor. His large brown eyes sparkled with curiosity and intelligence, and he clutched a worn teddy bear to his chest, a source of comfort in an otherwise intimidating environment. The hearing began with formalities, as the Walkers' attorney presented evidence of their suitability to adopt Liam. Photos of family outings, school reports showing Liam's progress, and glowing testimonials from teachers and neighbors painted a picture of a stable, loving home. Judge Harper nodded approvingly as she reviewed the evidence, but her expression remained neutral. When it was time for Liam to speak, the courtroom held its breath. Children weren't usually called upon to testify, but in this case, the social worker had recommended it. They believed Liam's voice should be heard, as it was ultimately his future that was being decided. Liam stood and approached the witness stand, his small frame dwarfed by the large chair. Judge Harper leaned forward slightly, her usually stoic demeanor softening. "Hello, Liam," she said, her voice warm. "How are you feeling today?" "I'm okay," Liam replied, his voice barely above a whisper. He glanced nervously at the people in the room, then at the judge. There was something in her eyes that felt familiar, though he couldn't quite place it. "Take your time, Liam," Judge Harper encouraged. "There's no rush." Liam nodded and took a deep breath. He began to talk about his life with the Walkers, how they played board games together, read bedtime stories, and made pancakes every Sunday morning. His words were simple but heartfelt, and it was clear to everyone in the room that he loved them deeply. Then came the unexpected moment. As Liam spoke, he paused and looked directly at Judge Harper. His eyes narrowed slightly, as if he were trying to solve a puzzle. The courtroom grew still, as everyone waited to see what he would say next. "Judge Harper," Liam began hesitantly, "can I ask you something?" Judge Harper blinked, slightly taken aback. "Of course, Liam. What's on your mind?" Liam hesitated, clutching his teddy bear tightly. "Do you know me?" he asked, his voice trembling slightly. A murmur rippled through the courtroom. Judge Harper's brow furrowed in confusion. "I don't think so, Liam," she replied gently. "Why do you ask?" Liam's next words stunned everyone. "Because I think you're my mom." The room fell silent. Gasps of shock echoed through the gallery, and the Walkers exchanged bewildered glances. Even the court stenographer paused, her fingers hovering above the keys. Judge Harper froze, her heart pounding in her chest. She opened her mouth to respond, but found herself momentarily speechless. Could it be true? She had no children, or so she thought. I don't understand," she finally managed to say. "Why do you think that, Liam?" Liam looked down at his teddy bear, his cheeks flushing with embarrassment. "I don't know," he admitted. "You just looked like me. And when you talked to me just now, it felt like you knew me." Tears welled up in Judge Harper's eyes, but she quickly composed herself. "Liam, I don't know what to say. This is a very serious matter. Can you tell me more?" At that moment, Liam's social worker, Ms. Carter, stood up. "Your Honor," she said cautiously, "if I may." Judge Harper nodded, grateful for the intervention. Ms. Carter approached the bench, a folder in her hands. "There's something you should see," she said, her voice laced with uncertainty. She handed the folder to Judge Harper, who opened it with trembling hands. Inside was a birth certificate, and there, under Mother, was Sophia Harper's name. The judge's breath caught in her throat. She felt the room spinning around her as the truth began to sink in. Years ago, before her career had taken off, she had given birth to a baby boy. Unable to provide for him at the time, she had made the heart-wrenching decision to place him for adoption. She had always wondered what had become of him, but had never imagined their paths would cross like this. Tears streamed down her face as she looked back at Liam. I didn't know," she whispered. "I didn't know it was you." Liam's eyes widened. "So, it's true? You're really my mom?" Judge Harper nodded, her voice breaking. "Yes, Liam, I'm your mom." The courtroom erupted in a mix of emotions: shock, disbelief, and overwhelming compassion. The Walkers looked at each other, their faces a mixture of sadness and understanding. They had grown to love Liam as their own, but they knew this moment was bigger than them. Judge Harper composed herself and addressed the room. "I need a recess," she announced, her voice trembling. "I need time to process this." The courtroom was adjourned, and Judge Harper stepped down from the bench. She approached Liam, who looked up at her with wide, hopeful eyes. Kneeling down to his level, she took his hands in hers. "I never stopped thinking about you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I didn't know where you were, but I always hoped you were safe and loved. And now, here you are." Liam threw his arms around her, burying his face in her shoulder. "I missed you," he said, his voice muffled. Judge Harper held him tightly, tears streaming down her face. "I missed you too, sweetheart, more than you'll ever know." The Walkers stood nearby, their own eyes filled with tears. "We love him too," Mrs. Walker said softly. "We just want what's best for him." Judge Harper looked at them, gratitude shining in her eyes. "You've given him so much love. I can never thank you enough for that." In the weeks that followed, the court worked to navigate this unprecedented situation. Judge Harper recused herself from the case, allowing another judge to oversee the proceedings. Ultimately, it was decided that Liam would remain with the Walkers, but would also build a relationship with his biological mother. For Liam, it was the beginning of a new chapter, a life filled with love from both his foster family and his newly discovered mother. And for Judge Harper, it was a second chance to be the mother she had always dreamed of being. Share your thought in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing to my channel. I pour my heart into crafting stories like this for you, and your support is the one helps me keep going. I appreciate having you on this journey,